we see that a lot of money, $8,560,625, is being sent to America's Turning Point. They are sending it to their own shelter.
You guys, so a week before Charlie lost his life, he expressed some concerns about the finances at Turning Point USA. In fact, he wanted to put together an entire department, a little mini department, to address those concerns, and we have evidence.
The moment those emails hit the internet, Erika Kirk went completely silent, and people immediately felt like something serious had broken open in her world. It was as if the picture-perfect image she had been building for years suddenly slipped right out of her hands.
Does Erika Kirk need millions of dollars and GoFundMe and all these fundraisers? I don't know. I mean, Charlie Kirk left her Turning Point. She's the CEO. He had life insurance.
Online chatter spread quickly, accusing her of hiding things that were never meant to come out. And it was obvious she didn't want anyone digging into what was really happening behind the scenes. Now the word is that the IRS is watching her closely, showing up in almost every conversation like they're locked in on the situation. Reports claim Erika may have shifted close to $15 million from TPUSA funds, and supposedly she didn't do it alone. People online are pointing toward a few of Charlie Kirk's trusted team members, suggesting they might have helped her move money from the inside, which only makes the situation more unbelievable. So now there's one big question everyone is asking. Did Erika actually pull off one of the quietest financial scandals the conservative world has ever seen? Or is she being painted as the villain at the worst time in her life? Some people think she planned it for a long time. Others believe she's being framed. Either way, her once polished image is breaking apart fast, and everyone is waiting to see her next move. Just when people thought the chaos around Charlie's sudden passing was finally settling down, a brand new storm hit TPUSA out of nowhere. Folks barely had time to breathe before something else started rising to the surface. And this time, it wasn't about grief, sympathy, or anything tied to Charlie's legacy. Like most people know, when the IRS steps inside an organization, it means something triggered a major red flag. And according to people claiming to know internal conversations, that something might be tied to someone closer to Erika than she'd ever admit. Everything kicked off with one leaked email, then another, until it felt like the inbox was spilling out its secrets non-stop. Within hours, TPUSA employees were whispering that things were about to get intense, because those emails weren't just pointing to sloppy records, they were hinting that real money might be missing. And people weren't murmuring about small amounts. They were suggesting something huge, something that could shake the entire organization if it turned out to be true. Then things took an unexpected turn.
But I'm starting to think that the assassination of Charlie Kirk was something akin to a regicide, right? The assassination of a king to install a new ruler who the king would have never approved of, right? Maybe people around him counseling the king, people who perhaps betrayed him, because there are just too many things that I am finding out that are not adding up to me.
People inside TPUSA started wondering if Erika had seen this coming long before anyone else noticed what was building. While everyone else looked rattled, confused, and overwhelmed, she was appearing in interviews with a smile, speaking confidently, posing for cameras, and acting like nothing behind her was falling apart. That behavior had people talking, wondering why she looked so calm when the organization she represented was suddenly drowning in questions that couldn't be ignored. Inside the building, the mood was tight and heavy, like everyone expected something big to drop at any moment.
Jack Smith's elector case against then-Citizen Trump and now President Trump. These new records show that Arctic frost was much broader than just an electoral matter. The case was expanded to Republican organizations. On that political list was one of Charlie Kirk's groups, Turning Point USA. In other words, Arctic frost wasn't just a case to politically investigate Trump. It was the vehicle by which partisan FBI agents and Department of Justice prosecutors.
Employees quietly began bringing up whispers they had dismissed for weeks. Rumors that the IRS was digging through emails, looking for specific messages that could break TPUSA apart from the inside. And every time a new detail came up, it became clearer that this didn't look random at all. Someone out there may have pointed investigators exactly where they wanted them to look. And here's the part no one can stop talking about. Ever since Charlie's sudden passing, the people who stayed closest to him began acting strange, moving quietly, avoiding conversations, and acting like they hoped a storm would pass by without touching them.
On the cross, our Savior said, "Father, forgive them."
And here's where the story becomes a full showdown. While the public focused on tributes and sympathy, investigators were building their own timeline, comparing emails, tracking conversations, and examining who knew what and when. People inside TPUSA didn't realize they were being watched until the signs started stacking up. And now everyone wants to know what investigators found, how long they've been tracking this, and whose names might get dragged into the light next. Investigators aren't just checking staff, they're questioning anyone close to Charlie, including Erika. The timelines people are giving don't match up, not even a little. Erika says she found out about Charlie's passing from Mikey McCoy, his chief of staff, but when people watched the footage of that moment, her story started looking questionable. The timing didn't match up, and online viewers noticed right away. In the clip where Mikey is seen making the call, he didn't even have confirmation about Charlie's condition yet. There was no way he could have told Erika the kind of news she claims he did. So now there are two huge issues on the table: the money and the timeline. And both seem to point back to Erika. What shocked people wasn't just the emails or the IRS walking in. It was how quickly Erika stepped forward afterward. Before people even had time to breathe, she put herself front and center, taking control of Charlie's image, speaking for TPUSA, and acting like she already knew what came next. That speed made people question how she had answers before anyone else, and why her explanations didn't match up what investigators were piecing together. The more people talked, the more things seemed off. The moment Charlie was gone, before local authorities even completed a timeline, Erika had already placed herself at the top of TPUSA, almost like she'd been preparing for that role. She appeared in full glam, delivered sharp speeches, booked interviews, and stepped onto stages as if she was launching a new chapter instead of mourning. People couldn't believe how fast she moved. Online, some started calling it a grief tour, because every appearance looked less like healing and more like a planned rollout. Nothing about it felt spontaneous. It felt practiced. Every time reporters pushed, she repeated one line: "This is what Charlie would have wanted." She used that phrase like protection, as if saying it made every move acceptable. But Candace Owens, one of the few still speaking about Charlie like a real person, said that claim was completely false. She insists Charlie wouldn't have wanted his passing turned into staged speeches and polished appearances. He would have wanted facts, answers, and the truth. That pushed people to look deeper at Erika's fast rise and wonder if the timing was more than just emotion. Why was she so focused on controlling TPUSA's public image while the man who created it hadn't even been laid to rest long enough? The timing unsettled a lot of people. While everyone else was grieving, Erika was already steering the organization, deciding what statements went out, what information stayed hidden, and what narrative reached the public first. It almost looked like she was trying to outrun something, trying to get ahead of a storm before anyone noticed it forming. That speed didn't look like grief. It looked like strategy. And now that investigators are digging through every financial record TPUSA ever had, people are connecting dots they ignored before. Every small detail now feels like part of a much bigger picture, and many of those pieces point to one person. Here's the part people barely whisper. If Erika didn't do all this alone, then whatever the IRS uncovered, might only be the surface. Suddenly, conversations that once focused on campus tours and political rallies are filled with words like shell companies, dummy organizations, and redirected donations. All alleged, but still enough to scare people who thought TPUSA was untouchable. And what's even more shocking is how fast former supporters are distancing themselves. People who once defended the group fiercely are now stepping back like they feel something coming. That sudden shift is making people wonder who knew what long before the public caught on. Because once federal investigators show up and insiders claim they've already started asking quiet questions, you know it's not just basic spreadsheets being reviewed. They start looking at donors, board members, budget approvers, financial managers, and anyone who touched money without leaving a flawless trail. No one wants to be pulled into something this messy. People inside TPUSA look tense, like they feel the walls closing in. Conversations are short, faces are tight, and everyone is watching Erika closely, waiting for the next big moment. Meanwhile, she keeps smiling for cameras, posting polished statements, and trying to keep everything looking perfect. But the walls around her are closing fast, faster than she realizes. When they finally shut, someone is getting dragged into the spotlight, and it might not be the person she expects. Things are heating up, names are being whispered, and this story is far from over. If you're following this breakdown, make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share this video. I'll catch you in the next one.